Hello and welcome to the Reborn Fitness Podcast. I am your host, as always, Timothy Horn, and welcome to another fantastic interview here on the Reborn Fitness Podcast. We have a life coach all the way from the Philippines. KimiLu, the life coach, is on the Reborn Fitness Podcast, and this is a first for me, and this will be really exciting to dive in to see what is made up and what makes a life coach and what's involved in being a life coach. So I think without further ado, let's get her on. Please welcome KimiLu, the life coach. Welcome. How are you?
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Timmy. And yes, I am all the way from the Philippines, and I'm so glad that we have this platform, to connect, right? And the
Absolutely.
technology has been amazing for everybody. Like, can you just imagine if we were in these trying times and
Yes,
we didn't have the internet? That
absolutely.
would be, I don't know how it would be like. I don't want to imagine it.
No,
I'm just so grateful for this
sure.
technology right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
KimiLu, just start to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. Who is KimiLu, the life coach?
Wow, that's like a huge
I
question.
know.
Well, I claim it that I am the pioneer life coach here in the Philippines
Wow.
because my story at that time was that I was actually lost
Okay.
myself.
Okay.
And because I was lost, I was trying to look for a life coach here in the Philippines. And I couldn't find anybody. Like I googled KimiLu, no, not KimiLu, but Life Coach Philippines,
Sure.
Life Coach Manila, which is our main city.
Okay.
There weren't anybody, showing up
Wow.
on the list.
Okay.
So it's like this is terrible. If somebody feels lost, who are they going to talk to? Who is going
Sure.
to guide them?
Mm.
So that's what was running in my thoughts. And so I was thinking, what if I become the life coach?
Mm.
But then nobody was teaching it. It
Okay.
was unheard of,
Yep.
really. So I had to research online, and apparently there were a lot of schools in the US,
Yep.
a lot of universities that actually teach it. And one day, because I placed my email address in their newsletter, I
Mm.
received one, and they said, "Oh, there's a course for neuro linguistic hypnotherapy, life coaching, and Reiki healing." And it was in San Diego,
Okay.
California,
Okay.
where I actually had aunts
Okay.
who lived there. So I was like, perfect. I can
Wow.
actually live with them
Sure.
while I study. So I wrote, because it was a lot of money.
Yep.
So I had to ask for sponsorship from my father, from my parents.
Yes.
And the thing is, when I was writing the email, he was just in the other room. He replied and said, "Okay, I'm going to support you, but you need to have a plan."
Yep. Yep.
I had no plan. I didn't know where I was going, but I said, yes, just support me and I'll figure it out. It's similar to being in a work interview, job
Mm.
interview,
Sure.
and they would always say, just say yes and figure it out when you get there. So that's exactly what happened because there were no like role models of
No.
life coaches here. Not unlike doctors or lawyers, architects. There's a lot of successful people who have those careers. But as a life coach, there was
Mm.
nobody. So I literally carved out a career path for myself.
Mm. I mean, that's amazing. And how was that? Because that's quite a daunting task to go into
Yeah.
something that's obviously probably well heard of in other parts of the world, but in the Philippines, not
Yeah.
well heard of. How did your parents take that? Because obviously, when you say to your parents you want to be X, Y, and Z, and so you want to be a life coach, and there's not much information,
Mm.
how big were they in supporting you in that?
You know what? I'm super duper lucky. And they are actually marriage counselors
Oh well, okay,
that time.
okay,
So I think I got that idea as a child that, oh, you know what, if you talk to somebody, somebody can help figure things out with you.
mm. Yes,
So I think they're familiar with the job, but they were doing it for free
Wow.
as like for their religious group. Like they're
Okay.
Catholic. I'm Catholic too,
Okay.
but they have a community where they help married couples, and they were volunteers. They weren't
Okay.
actually getting paid for it. So
Wow.
maybe they were thinking, how is our daughter going to, live off
Yeah.
of this?
Mm.
But they completely supported me,
That's awesome.
sent me abroad to learn. And each time, I have another course that I want to take.
Sure.
They still, really support. And I feel they're like stage parents. Like whenever I have a huge talk, they'll be there,
Mm. Mm.
watching and
Yes.
supporting. They'll post stuff online about the work that I do. So I
Mm.
think it's really, really important for parents to support their children with
Yeah.
whatever they want to do.
Yes.
Um, because when somebody believes in you, it's so powerful.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what was
Yeah.
it like for you when that time approached to go to San Diego to start? What were your feelings? Obviously, as you said, your dad was like, "You got to have a plan."
Yeah.
You obviously didn't, but you
Didn't
knew you knew you could work it out. What was it like getting on
Yeah.
that plane, getting there, and what were your feelings when you entered California and started uh,
Yes.
your journey?
Right. I was super duper excited. And while I was in class, my our teacher, she said, "Oh, I've been doing this for 10 years, yada yada yada." And I was thinking, "Oh my gosh, will I reach 10 years of coaching?" And now it's my 11th
There
year.
you go.
So I'm like, "Oh my gosh, yes." And also at that time, I was thinking, there's really nobody in the Philippines who's doing this presently. So I'm determined to be that person to serve people who need me.
And when going over there, did you have an idea as to what a life coach was?
Um, yes and no. It's like I knew there would be tools and techniques that were going to be taught to me,
Mm, mm.
but I didn't know exactly what they were. So I was like, I would um, describe myself as a sponge.
Okay.
Like
Yep.
I'm just
Yep.
really absorbing everything. Like I had no idea what hypnotherapy was.
Mm.
I thought it was like, asking people to fall asleep and forget about that moment. But it's it's actually called show
Okay.
hypnosis.
Okay.
So that's what we see like on stage or
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
YouTube videos. But hypnotherapy would be really, talking to the subconscious
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
I also had no idea what Reiki was. Are you familiar with Reiki?
No, never heard of it.
Yeah.
No.
So this is energy healing.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so I had no idea at that time, but I super fell in love with it, apparently.
Okay.
And now I use it in my practice as well. So there were a lot of things that I didn't know for sure, and I was just really absorbing. So I had to go back the following year, because that was like part of the deal. Like if
Okay.
you enroll in their program, you're welcome to keep coming back if you
Okay.
want to and
Yeah.
need to. So I did, and I had better questions the second time around because I have been, serving clients already the
Mm.
moment I got
Mm.
back here.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm just super duper grateful I said yes to that particular one. And throughout the years, I've been learning here and there, get certified in different things. So I guess I love learning.
Yeah, I think it's important. There's so much to learn, and no matter how old you are, you can always learn things. So I think that analogy of a
For
sponge is
sure.
so good. Just keep soaking information up, keep learning, keep being
Yes.
open, and keep developing yourself. So no, I
Right.
totally agree. And when you
Yeah.
started on the course, and when you were starting out, obviously you didn't know much. How did you get through? Because that must have been quite daunting for you, and obviously not knowing
Yeah.
what was coming next around the corner. What would be your
Yeah.
advice for people going through that with like a new job or starting something new? That daunting thing when you don't know what's around the corner. How did you get through it, and what's your biggest piece of advice to get through something like that?
Hmm. Okay, let me tell you like a little story about like when I was starting, and there were a lot of like daunting fears in me and
Mm,
also even the people around me,
mm,
because first of all, since it was unheard of over here, um, and they would ask me, so what do you do? And I tell them, oh, I'm a life coach.
mm.
And then they give me either a blank face or really like a very like, what did you say, what was that?
Yeah.
Like, is it about sports or something?
Yeah.
Because it's coach, right? I'm like,
Sure.
no, I help people. If they're quite sad, then I teach them how to become happier. If they're lost, then we find their way. And they're like, okay, looking at me again from head to toe, and they'll say, but you're so young.
Mm,
How can you coach people?
mm.
And then I'm like, well, you know what? It's not the age, it's the skill that I have, that I have learned.
Yeah.
I just need to, ask the right questions and all that. And then it doesn't stop there, Timmy.
Yeah.
So they look at me again and they say, so how were you certified in this again? I said, oh, I went to San Diego and all that. But you were taught in the United States and you weren't taught here. So that's
Mm,
culturally different.
right.
The lessons that you learned. I mean, it doesn't stop. Like everyone's just like, maybe in their minds they're saying, oh my gosh, this is a ridiculous job that you chose or that you made up.
Yeah.
Like, are
Yeah.
you going to be successful in that?
Mm,
So I had that. I think those words and those faces,
mm,
haunt me to prove to them
yeah.
that this is a career that is needed in life,
Yeah.
that will flourish, and I will be serving a lot of
Yes.
people. So
Mm,
that was my driving force,
mm.
even if I didn't really know where I was going, but I was like, nope, I'm gonna make it. I'm going to try my best. I'm gonna prove all of you wrong. Uh, so here I am, 11 years down the road.
It's amazing. No, well said. I love that. And when you came back from studying in San Diego and you came back to the Philippines after getting qualified, obviously you had
Yes.
that. How was that first starting up? Because obviously um, it was not, it didn't exist in the Philippines. So how did you
Right.
go
Yeah.
about paving a path for yourself and actually making that something that was accessible and obviously not getting all those questions and people saying, well, I'm not going to trust you, type of thing. So how did you go about that and how did you describe to people uh, what your job
Right.
was to make them okay? Yeah.
Yeah, I was super duper lucky. And I guess, when stars align and when you
Mm,
find your purpose,
mm,
things kind of fall into place and onto your lap, actually.
mm, mm.
So one time I was out and like with my friends drinking because I was younger then.
Sure.
And so there was this guy and he approached me and he said, oh, so, just making small talk.
Yeah.
And he said, so what do you do? And I told him, oh, I teach people how to make anyone fall in love with them. So, of course, he's like, wow, how's that? I want that. And then thankfully, I also had my card with me, my
Yep.
calling card
Yep.
handy. So for anyone who's starting, but right now that's not very advisable to go out. Um, but I had that with
Yep.
me and I
Yep.
gave it to him. And he said, I'm really going to, contact you and get in touch with you. I said, sure. And he did the following
Wow.
day. So we had sessions and then when we would have sessions, sometimes I would say, oh, I can't go right now because I need to go to this other city and this other mall, this other restaurant, this other office. I didn't have my own space at that
Okay.
time,
Okay.
basically.
Yep.
And then, well, magically, he is a dermatologist
Okay.
and he had an extra clinic. He
Wow.
said, you know what, Kimmy? I am getting tired for you because you're traveling here and there seeing your clients. Why don't I lend you my clinic and you can practice there?
Wow.
Yes. And so, because of that, The moment people ask me what I do and where they can find me, my confidence level just shoot up to
Yep.
the roof
Yep.
because now I can tell them, oh, you can see me in my office or in my clinic,
Yep. Sure.
you
Sure.
know. So that really, really helped. So I feel like I was sent angels on earth to really be able to serve more and more people who
Mm.
need somebody like me here in the
Mm.
Philippines.
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
absolutely. And what sort of do you have a lot of the same people, or is everyone different that you get? Do you find that there are recurring problems in individuals that you help, or do you find that every
Yeah,
time you're always being surprised with something new and, as you say, always learning?
right. There are like differences, but I would say they're same, but
Hmm.
different.
Yep.
Most of them are lost. I guess that's what I attract because I that was my story,
Mm.
and I was lost and I found myself through
Yep.
this journey.
Mm.
So I help people who are quite lost, like in their careers and decision making, or in general, like in their life, and allowing them to celebrate and teaching them to celebrate their lives. So usually that's the case. People also who want to grow some more, like they don't even have a problem, they just want to learn more about life. Like they're not familiar with meditation, so they come to me. They're not sure what healing is and energy work is, so they come to me. They want to learn more about neuro linguistic programming, so they come to me. So a lot of growth seekers actually come over. And now I'm fully online.
Okay.
So thanks to the pandemic,
Yep.
last year I had to pivot 100% online. So now I'm getting clients from all over the world,
Yeah.
not just the Philippines, so in Asia, also in London,
Yep.
Canada, US.
Wow.
So I'm super duper grateful for
Mm.
that.
Yeah. And how was
Mhm.
that then, that transition? Talking about that, because obviously it comes out of nowhere, boom, the world swept with something that no one expected. How was that transferring from fully in clinic to fully
Right.
online?
Yeah. Before the whole halabahu, I was actually already, serving clients online, but just 20 to 30%.
Right.
And then, of course, everybody went into panic March and April. I
Yes.
went into panic too. So I just said, okay, let's just give everything for free for these 2 months.
Wow.
And then I was noticing, wait a minute, I don't think this is going to end very soon. So I'm going to need to start transitioning into fully online.
Yep.
So I am not an expert in online marketing.
No.
I had to hire an online business coach for coaches
Right.
so that I could fully transition into the online world. And so that helped a lot. And again, that was another learning
Yes.
for me, like 10 years
Mm.
after. Oh my gosh, another course for me.
Sure. Sure.
But it really, learning really never stops. And that's how I managed to grow the community
Mm.
last year and also for this year.
Yeah.
So that's happening.
Yeah. That's awesome. And how did the online affect your practices? Did you have to make many changes to how you practice and how you taught people, or not really?
um Well, I had to be very creative. I usually would have a lot of exercises in person, even group exercises. Thankfully, Zoom had breakout rooms.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, that is brilliant. So that helped a lot. I had to think really creatively about the exercises, the activities, and now also because of the influx of clients, I had to come up with a certification program. So I am now certifying other people to hold sacred spaces for other people. And so there are 24 of them right
Wow.
now, and they have their own, spaces
Sure.
online. and in person, and I'm just super duper proud of that. I have been wanting to do it,
Yeah.
but last year was just like, oh my gosh, this is the time. Like
Mm,
we just need it so
mm,
much.
mm.
And so that happened. Yeah.
Love it. That's awesome. And I'm just intrigued. Just talk to a little bit more about what goes into this energy healing. This just seems quite interesting. Just talk to the listeners a little bit
Right.
more how what goes into that and how you approach that.
Right. So energy for me is that everything is energy. Everything is made up of energy. You have your own energy. I have my own energy.
Mm.
Um, and this energy, because I believe in God,
Yep.
so it is
As do
made,
I. So yeah.
yeah, by God. And so when somebody needs some kind of healing, I say my prayers and say, okay, God, please help this person with whatever they're going through.
Mm.
And I'm going to focus on that energy that could possibly heal this person. I
Mm.
have no idea what that energy is.
Yep.
I just kind of like, I close my eyes, try to grab some kind of energy,
Yep.
and then imagine that that energy is flowing through this person
Yep.
and healing that person.
Mm.
Um, we would always say it works where it's supposed to. So it could be physical, mental, spiritual. Um, yeah. So any part of your being could be healing as well. You kind of just have to surrender to
Mm.
that.
Mm.
And I don't know if you're familiar with the chakras, like the
No.
energy centers.
No.
Okay. So are you familiar with yoga?
I've done a little bit, not massively into it, but I know.
Okay.
Yes, obviously know about. Yes.
So if you have seen like photos of like people with like energy centers, Roy Jibib, that like the rainbow.
Mm.
So those are actually the energy centers in
Okay.
our bodies, and I would always correlate it or give an example like it's your laptop.
Yep.
Your body is your laptop,
Yep.
and you have folders and they have their specific functions, like, oh, my folder of spreadsheets and my folder of videos, my
Mm.
folder of music. And sometimes your laptop all of a sudden like conks out or it lags, and then you bring it to the shop and then they tell
Mm.
you, oh, we just need to reboot it.
Yep. Yep.
So the energy healing that I do is a reboot,
Okay. Yep.
basically, so that everything just flows smoothly.
Mm.
Yeah, and gets balanced. So
Okay.
that's how I explain this whole energy
Okay.
thing.
Fine.
Yeah,
Awesome. That
I
sounds
hope that
amazing.
was
That was
a little
perfect.
clear.
That's perfect. No, that's awesome. Brilliant.
Okay.
And when you were first studying in San Diego, obviously,
Mhm.
you had which areas did you enjoy most learning? Did you have areas that you really enjoyed and some you weren't so sure about, or did you just enjoy everything that they taught you on that course, or did you find areas that you enjoyed working on more?
Mm. Before joining that course, I already had a neurolinguistic programming background.
Okay.
So that's what I was really looking forward to. And I learned a lot. But it was also interesting that I was able to learn about hypnotherapy
Mm.
and the Reiki healing. As I have mentioned earlier, like I fell in love with it because I am very kinesthetic. Like
Okay.
I love
Yep.
moving,
Mm-hmm.
I move my hands when I talk and all
Sure.
that. So because I'm able to now feel like people's energies, that to me was something like mind blowing. Like
Sure.
I can actually, oh, like, oh, it's kind of warm here, and oh, here it's like kind of like there's kind of like a coldness somewhere here,
Mm.
and then oh,
Mm.
it's a little bit hot here again. And I was feeling that. So that was something
Sure.
different,
Yeah.
really different.
Yeah.
Um, and it seemed like it was also something that wasn't so, like, if life coaching was unheard of, Reiki was all the more unheard of over
Sure.
here. But when I was introducing it to people, they really, really loved it as well. And sometimes they would come back just for a Reiki session.
Okay.
They
Okay.
don't even want the life coaching anymore. They're like, oh, I just want Reiki. Because
Yeah.
with Reiki, I let them lie down on the bed, like a
Yeah.
massage bed, and they just breathe, and then I go through the whole healing process.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was very enjoyable for them.
Good. Good. And obviously, when you were starting out, obviously you obviously were lost. How much of a process of training to become a life coach helped you find yourself? Do you feel that learning this whole thing and becoming a life coach actually helped
Yeah.
find yourself?
Yes. So I would have waves of lostness.
Okay.
It's not, it wasn't a one time thing that I was
Okay.
lost and then I was found.
Yeah.
So throughout the years of coaching, I would have moments like, why am I doing this? Am I still going to keep doing this?
Yeah.
Am I getting anywhere? So all throughout those stages, the tools and techniques that I know really helped me with
Mm.
this journey, really.
Yeah.
And there was one point I was, I guess, burnt out. Um, and I said, oh my gosh, I think I need a life coach.
Mm. Mm.
So I had to hire one. So it's been 4 years now that I have my own personal life coach,
Yeah.
and I've been talking to her every single week for 4 years already. And as I've mentioned, I have that online marketing coach.
Yep.
And now I have also, my fitness coach who
Yep.
watches me on Zoom, because if not, then I will not move. And then I'm also part of a UK based group, which is Sister Stories. I don't know if
Okay.
you're familiar with them,
No.
but every 2 weeks we have a, like, we meet in a circle, and we just share our stories.
Yeah.
So
That's
there,
awesome.
I enrolled to four things
Okay. Love
myself.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
And
yeah,
how important is that for you to obviously, because you obviously give out a lot as a life coach.
for sure.
How important is it to make sure
Yes.
that you keep giving to yourself?
Yes, super duper important. I mean, I teach this to people. So before I was teaching it, but I wasn't actually applying it to my
Ah.
life.
Okay.
And then now I'm like, oh, I need to really do that for myself.
Yeah.
And I always remind people about, filling up their cups. And then people think, oh, okay, I'm filled now. I took a rest, I took a vacation. Now I can keep pouring again. No,
Mm.
it's
Mm.
actually you're going to fill up your cup. And if there's an overflow, that's where you give from.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
you give from the overflow. So
Mm.
you always have to be 100% full.
Yes. Yes.
And this is why I have help, ask for help,
Mm.
so that I can give through my overflow, or
Yeah.
from my overflow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Awesome.
Hmm.
And what does the future hold for you? What are your plans for this year, and how are you looking to take your life coaching to the next level
Right.
over the next couple of years?
I love that question. Well, th- this is why I am with you right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and I'm reaching out to other people around the globe, because I really want to establish my practice as a global practice.
Yeah.
So not just the Philippines, and because last year we've had a lot of people from all over the world, especially Filipinos abroad. They have been, reaching out, asking for help as well for their well-being
Sure.
and all that. So I just want to make sure that the message is coming across really well and very stable, have a strong foundation for that. So yeah, just going really global with that one, and keep training people to do what I do.
Yeah. Love that. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Well, it's been so good to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on and for sharing
Thank you.
everything. It's really, really interesting. And
Thank
it's been really,
you
really good to talk to you. So thank you for sharing everything.
so much.
You up for a quick fire question round, just quickly?
Oh my
Yeah?
gosh, I'm nervous for this.
Don't be nervous. It's okay. So the first question is milk or dark chocolate?
Milk, I think.
Oh, one of the
I think.
rare. I had a lot of dark chocolates before. That's interesting. Okay, nice.
Right.
I like that.
Well, now that I'm older, I think I'm a little lactose intolerant,
Okay,
but milk. I think I
okay,
like milk
okay,
more.
fine. Okay, so number two is if you could have lived in another decade or era, which would it have been?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I have lived a lot of decades in
Okay.
my life, just not this lifetime.
Yeah.
But I really love the olden times because in the Philippines there's an era here where the Spaniards were here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that era would have been interesting
Okay.
to have lived in. Yeah.
I like that. That's awesome. You're hosting a dinner party, and you can have three people at your dinner table, dead or alive. Who would be at your dinner table?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. Um, maybe, and this is so, this might sound very weird, but maybe I would invite like one of my guardian angels to come to
Okay.
life at
Yep.
dinner. Me. Maybe like maybe my future husband,
Okay.
so that I can talk to him already.
Okay. Yeah.
Perhaps like maybe also a future child of mine. I
Okay.
just
Yeah.
want them. I mean, I would love to meet them
Yep.
in
Yep.
that dinner thing.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Nice. Fair enough. So the
Yes.
movie of your life is coming out. Who portrays KimiLu in the movie of your life?
Oh my. Um. What What if I say myself? I can do that,
You can
right?
do that. There you go. That's fine. You can do that.
Yes.
Like I like
Yeah.
that.
I will be. Yeah. It will be me.
Okay, fair enough. Perfect. Good answer. Currently, what are your top TV shows, past or present, that you're watching or have watched and really enjoy watching?
The last one that I watched was Homeland. I
Okay.
don't know if you're familiar with this one. I really recently enjoyed Bling Empire, which is
Okay.
like the crazy rich Asians
Okay.
in
Yeah.
the
Right.
US. Yeah. So that was enjoyable. Yeah.
Nice. Like that. And lastly, what are your top three songs on your music playlist at the moment?
Top three songs. I like spiritual songs.
Okay.
So right now, like I would often listen to Oceans by Hillsong,
Okay.
and that's the
Nice.
music that I play when I'm journaling.
Mm.
And then there's this group called Beautiful Chorus,
Okay.
and they have all of these songs that are like filled with mantras and
Okay.
affirmations.
Yeah.
So I listen to them,
Okay.
and then the third would be I have this song that I always Fireworks
Okay.
by Katy Perry, but the
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
orchestra.
Nice.
Yep.
Love that. Good selection. Very, very nice. Awesome. Very
Very
nice.
calming
Yeah,
selection.
yeah, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. No, it's been really good. So before we wrap up, how can people find you? How can people get in touch? How can
Oh,
people follow you?
right. It's very easy to find me on Instagram. Just type down KimiLu Life Coach, and they can visit my website, kimilulifecoach.com. That's it.
Perfect, brilliant. Well, it's been really, really good to talk to you. Thank you very much again for giving up your time and coming on the Reborn Fitness podcast. It's been a
Oh,
real honor
thank you
to talk
so
to you.
much.
No, no
Thanks.
worries, no worries. And I will leave you with the floor to give your biggest piece of advice for our listeners.
Yes. So, everybody, I just want to remind you that you are at the right place at the right time with the right people. And wherever you are right now, remember that life is a party. So celebrate it.
Beautifully said. That is really, really nice. KimiLu, thank you very much again for coming on the Reborn Fitness podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
No
Thank you.
worries. Well, there it is. That's the episode. So I hope you enjoyed that. Something different. Really enjoyed talking. So go and check KimiLu out on Instagram and her website and get in touch if you know anyone or even yourself is interested in getting life coaching. I'm sure she's more than happy to help you. But that's it. That's the episode done. Thank you for listening. I'll be here, same place, same time next week, Friday, 2 p.m. But until then, have a great weekend. Stay safe. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.